everybody, welcome to Stampin' with Melva. Today I wanted to show you how I made this really pretty card using, it was part of a blog hop that was all about ribbon techniques. And so I used the really pretty Blushing Bride, what it's called, metallic ribbon, Blushing Bride metallic ribbon, and did some pleating down a card. And the card features the art gallery stamp set with of course, some of the Gilded Leafing embellishments. So let me just switch over to my desktop and we'll get started. Okay, so this is the card that I shared, and so I've used this really pretty metallic ribbon that is gold. Well, I'm not sure you can see, but you can see gold kind of on one side and then a satin, and it's in Blushing Bride. And it coordinates really pretty. I've used Rococo Rose on this stamp, card, and Old Olive. Just a really nice way to add some detail to a card. So let me show you how I made this. So I've got a piece of Rococo Rose, and I've cut this 4 1/4 by 11 inches. All of the measurements and written instructions for this card will be on my blog, and the link to my blog will be underneath the recording for this video when you find me on YouTube. So you don't have to worry about writing this all down. So again, 4 1/4 by 11. And I've got a piece of basic white that I have embossed using the Tasteful Textile embossing folder. I absolutely love this embossing folder. It is my go-to embossing folder. So that's going to be for the front of the card. So I'm just going to fold this in half. And folder. There we go. Big brush. Now, that will go on here. And so what I want to do with my ribbon is I'm going to, now you can use either Stampin' Seal, I'll grab my Stampin' Seal, or you can use tear and tape adhesive. But what I want to do is I'm just going to take this and about maybe 1/4 of an inch or so. I think I'm a little farther over on this one, but I'd actually like it a little closer. So about 1/4 of an inch, I'm just going to run my Stampin' Seal edge to edge so that I've got something to attach my ribbon to. Now start with that. You need a little bit of an overlap here, so about just enough, so maybe an inch, which you can overlap, and you'll fold over and tuck over on the back. So then, oopsie, let me just start at the bottom of the card. Sorry. So you're going to start at the bottom of the card and go upwards. Okay, so just take it and start. Let's pull this into the. Okay, so I've got this attached here. Don't want to go up too far. So attach it up about, say, 1/2 inch, and just fold it back on itself. And then again, fold it back. So go up again. And just keep, if you use the line of the Stampin' Seal, it will keep it straight. And then go up. Again, use your fingers just to hold it in place. And back on itself. You're moving it upwards, attach it to the Stampin' Seal, and then fold it back on itself. And then one more. And again, I'm just going to trim that off at about 1 inch. It'll tuck over. Now, take your bone folder and just fold it down for now. If you're really not happy with it, them sticking up like they are, you can use a glue dot, and I will do that and show you that. So then you just take your Stampin' Seal and tuck this piece over. Okay, now you're going to do the same. So I'm going to do another strip of Stampin' Seal down my card, about 1/4 of an inch away from that. And this time I'm using the satin side, just to give it a little bit of a difference. So again, start at the bottom, about 1 inch down, and what you want to do on this one, if you can, is to try and not make the pleats in the same spot. So you're kind of going to alternate them. So in this one the pleat's there, on this pleat's a little lower, and again now I've got a pleat in the middle. Again, I'm sure it's hard to see with my fingers in the way. So you're just going to take it. Let's see if I can turn this so my fingers maybe aren't in the way. Okay, so you're just going to take this along the Stampin' Seal line and then push it back on itself. So go up a little ways and push it back and get a little tuck or pleat. And then use your fingers to try and just hold it in place. Like that. And just folding it back on itself. That. And then cut that off about an inch, and we'll do the same on this side. Sometimes it tucks in on itself. I didn't get the motion. I kind of make sure I get the motion to tip back, and then the Stampin' Seal stays in place and will be there when I want to start using it again. Okay. So you can see these are, now I'm going to take my bone folder and fold down. So if you want to leave it like that, you absolutely can. I'm going to tuck this, adhere this on. To the front of my card. There. The other thing you can do is you can take your glue dots and just take your pick tool to pull off a glue dot. You can either use the spatula end, and you can just tuck a glue dot underneath each of these, and that will hold this down and in place. Like that. Takes a few little glue dots depending on how many pleats you have, but it just holds those pleats in place and tuck down. And that. A few more here. All right. There we go. So that's the pleating done. So I've got a piece of basic white cardstock, and somewhere I have some old olive ink. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to stamp the leaves and the stem. An old olive, like that. And I'm going to use, so I want to stamp this in with Cocoa Rose, but I'm going to stamp off a couple of times because this is quite dark. Let's see how dark this is going to be, or how light I may have stamped off. Yeah, so I'm just going to stamp off once. Okay. Like that. Oops. And then I'm going to stamp this one in this full strength to give it that. Now, I want to show you what I did. I'm going to use this amazing, absolutely love the Gilded Leafing embellishment. So I'm going to open this up. It probably will fly a little bit. All right, so this comes in a jar. I put it into a big container because I can manage it a little better in a big container than I can when it's in a jar. It is just fly away. And so don't be afraid of it. It's very fun to play with, but it will fly away. So we're just going to put the lid on this for a minute. So there's a few ways to apply the Gilded Leafing. I've done it, so you can definitely use Versamark and your heat and stick powder. So stamp an image in Versamark, and then apply the heat and stick, heat it, and then apply the Gilded Leafing. But I've also found that using the multi-purpose adhesive glue will hold it in place. And so I'm just going to take a little bit of this, and I'm using the wide brush end. So I'm just going to squeeze out a little bit here. Maybe. There we go. No. Now I'm going to get a big splodge here because it... There we go. So I don't want a lot, so I'm just going to squeeze some out here. You could use your silicone mat, which probably would have been a smarter idea. And I'm just going to take and apply some of the multi-purpose adhesive glue in places here. You don't need a ton of it, and you don't want to cover the whole thing. You just really want to be where you're going to put your Gilded Leafing. Okay, so I think I've got enough. Now I'm going to bring in my Gilded Leafing. Gently open the lid, and I'm going to tap this down in. I keep a sponge, so I've taken one of our sponges and I've cut it into quarters. Oh, I'm not on. So I've just taken this, dipped it down into my Gilded Leafing, and now I've got this quarter sponge, and I'm just going to take and gently rub off the excess. Now, I've got a little bit more. Probably you do have to be a little careful with this because I got quite a bit of glue on here, but that's okay. It's pretty. The Gilded Leafing is so pretty. Okay, so now I'm going to take this and put the lid on before any more flies away. A friend of mine brought me a little vacuum cleaner that I can use to clean this up, which is perfect. All right, so now I'm going to bring in my mini boss, my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and I'm going to. So this is the Art Gallery stamp set. Oh, geez, what is that? The Art Gallery stamp set, and then the dies that coordinate. So I'm going to cut one of these out as well. So this is going to be for my sentiment. So I want to cut the flower out. That, and these, and then that will be for the sentiment. And my plate. If you're having any issues in getting your plates to run through your mini cut Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, keep the plates off centered. So I've got this one about an inch off center from the other two plates going through, and that just makes it much easier to roll your plates through your machine. Okay. Here's the flower. The leaves. And my one for the sentiment. Okay. Put it away, bring my card base back in. So this will go here, the leaves. So I'm just going to use Stampin' Seal on the leaves. They will lay flat. Roughly where I want this to go. There. Okay, and then I'm going to pop up with dimensionals, the flower, Isn't that gold pretty? Oh, just so pretty. So don't be afraid to try it. It isn't as messy as what you might think it is when you first see it. Okay, and now I've got the little thank you. So there's some great sentiments in this stamp set. So I've just got the little thank you, and I'm going to stamp it in the Rococo Rose. Good. It's easier when they're photopolymer stamps to get them lined up. And on this one, I'm going to use just some of the mini dimensionals. They're just easier. They're smaller. This is kind of a little tiny label. There's the, oops. I don't know if my fingers. You should take your pick tool. It works. I'm not sure why I didn't. And also to get the backs off, and take your pick tool works really well. Okay, and then I'm just going to put this here. So there, that's a really pretty card. Isn't that pretty with the gilded leafing, just as a bit of an embellishment. I got a little more on it than I did. I was a little less generous with the glue on this one. You can see it's a little less. So just take your glue and just kind of apply it. As I said, I got a little bit more than I wanted to in here, but it's still pretty. Okay, let's switch back over. There we go. So I hope you enjoyed that card, and you'll try the ribbon pleating. It's a fun technique and just adds such a pretty element to your card base. If you have any questions as you're watching this, just post them under the video, or you can post them under my blog, and I will definitely answer your questions and help you with anything, any questions you have about the card. While you're here, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I do post on a regular basis, and I'd love for you to get notified when I do. So thanks very much for joining me. Bye, everybody.